Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I don't think there's any doubt that I'm not very fond of a mass democracy where every or any biped with half of brain and no information should vote, therefore nullify another person's with a full brain and a lot of knowledge, nullify that person's vote. And I have options for this kind of mass democracy, which could be an intelligent way of voting for these weasels that then will be held accountable for their actions, not with voting in 5 years or 4 years after they can destroy a country, a society, and a culture. I have here a clear example of mass democracy, why it's not a good idea, as I exemplified it before. Half brain, no information. And I have here an article from where is it? I have an article from Republic World from today, July 31st, 2022. This is the title. Thousands of people join pro-Ukraine rallies in Berlin to protest against Russian invasion. Okay, well, I'm all for the freedom of speech. But how did they make their opinion? How did they reach the conclusion that Russian invasion is a, I don't know, something they should protest against? So, the people in Germany's capital, Berlin, held a protest against recent actions of Russia, including the killing of Ukrainian troops in Olenivka. A large number of people took to the streets in Berlin on Saturday, July 30th, to join pro-Ukraine rallies around Europe. The people in Germany's capital, Berlin, held a protest against recent actions of Russia, including the killing of Ukrainian troops in Olenivka. Olenivka prison, the Kiev Independent reported. The video shared by the media outlets showed the people carrying the Ukrainian flag protesting against the actions of Russian armed forces in Ukraine. They also chanted slogans while protesting against Russia. Okay, well, it says here that the protests in Germany have been reported at a time when Russia and Ukraine have been accusing each other of targeting Ukrainian prisoners of war. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed the Ukrainian forces used US-supplied HIMARS multiple launch rocket systems at a detention facility near Olenivka. Russian officials claimed that 53 Ukrainian prisoners of war were killed, while 75 others have been injured in the attack, according to Associated Press. Right. This is what the Russians say, that it was the Ukrainians, and then Ukrainians claim it was the Russians. So there you have two opposite sides engaged in a war, and these two opposite sides point fingers at one another. The only concrete fact that we have so far proven is that 53 people were killed in this attack, whatever it was, and 75 injured, and besides, I think it was 13 Russian guards, that were also injured. So now, people who protest, what information they have other than this? I can tell you, zero. The only information they have is provided by the mass media, saying that the Russians did it and the Ukrainians were the victims, and the Ukrainians did not do it. With no evidence. Evidence are on both directions. Nevertheless, they go and protest. So they made a decision, these people, to go and protest, which is fine. You can protest, but at least you should know what you're talking about, right? At least you have your ducks in a row when you go and protest. Otherwise, you go and vote because why? Let's say this was a referendum, and say, okay, should Russia be destroyed from the face of the earth because they killed those 53? They bombarded those 53 prisoners of war and injured 75. All those protesters will be for it. Did they have the facts? Were the facts proven? No, none of this. They would have voted for it. This is an example of mass democracy. Now, who formed their opinion? The mass media. Who owns the mass media? Why did the mass media form the opinion in such a way that they protested? Let's be honest, let's be fair, let's be objective. All we know is two sides. Something happened on this side say, this guy bombarded it. This guy saying, no, 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 it was not us, it was you guys. You bombarded it. As of now, we don't know who did it. Did we? How do we find out and determine, right, who did it? We get some investigators, right, which is international community or UN and impartial investigators. We brought them over there. They analyzed all the information, right? They made a report, come to a determination, and then they present the report and say, this is what we found. After they found that, then you go in court. You have to put it in court. And in court, you present the information, the data, the facts, the evidence to a impartial court, not the Russians, not the Ukrainians, right? Not the Americans, all right? So you put it to an impartial. That means you pick from a few countries, right? And they are presented the information by this investigative body. After that, they will say, okay, what is it? Is it A or B? It was the Russians or the Ukrainians. Let's say it was one of these guys. Obviously, one of them has to be, right? And say, well, okay, now we're going to indict that party, right? We're going to press charges. We're going to go and then convict those people, and then we're going to punish them, correct? That's the way it goes. When you followed all these steps, then you go and protest. Then you have the information, okay? Before that, you have no information. You're going to vote based on what the mass media told you. And the mass media is not free mass media, as we know, correct? So those guys over there, they made fools of themselves. Some of them probably are also, you know, because I know how that works with NGOs from Romania, personal experience, okay? So then those guys made fool of themselves. When I look at them, I say, guys, we don't even know exactly who did it. And you go and protest already. So again, the same thing with voting. Those guys will vote. Those guys vote. So that's the way those guys reach conclusions. It's like I would tell you right now, no, it was those guys. Or no, it was those guys. I can't do that. I will give you evidence and I will use logic and I will say, okay, what could be this scenario, this scenario? I don't know who this is, but most likely this. No, I don't know, it could be this. It's probabilities. But I'm not going to vote and go and blame those or those without even knowing. I think, well, I don't know. Most probable these ones, maybe this, but the fact is we are not certain who did it. Nevertheless, those guys go and protest based on what information? Based on what information? And the same thing is with the Russian invasion in Ukraine. If you ask them about the Minsk protocols, I bet they will not be able to tell you the year and not even the countries involved in that, the signatories. No, I'm not going to go in the body of the agreement to tell me this is what was determined. Nah, that's too much for them. Why? Because they don't know it about it. Whose fault is it? Theirs. Because they need to put some brain and some action, some activity, some energy into that. This kind of energy and a few clicks. Click, click, and time to read. That's all. But they didn't do that. They will protest. The easiest way is just to give them pak, pak, pak. Oh, these are the bad guys, these are the good guys. Yes, let's go and pray now. All right, so those guys who protest, I'm for them. But look what they're doing. And they're right here. And they're presented as being, see, the world community, the population of Berlin is against the blah, 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 blah. They build legitimacy for those. So people who don't know anything about it, reading that, they take that as a given that the Russians actually did it. Look, those guys protest. Did you see anti-protest? Did you see opposite protesting about, hey, the Ukrainians did it? Did you see that? Why not? Why not? Because there's no evidence about it? Is because it's already a determined fact? No, because the mass media presents not facts in a certain light, without proven. Incidents, I should say. Well, facts. Those people were bombarded. That's a fact. That's all we know as of now for certain. And the number given by the Russians. So they protest and they vote. All right? I would be cautious to vote. I would say cautious. I would say, I don't know yet because I don't know I have the file. Wait a little bit. Get more information on that. No, these guys are protesting. Yeah. And we have to deal with this. I'm not talking about those guys doing that. Just imagine you go or I go over there in the middle of this and I say, hey guys, and I ask the questions or the points, I will make the points I made right here. Do you think that everybody will say, okay, let's reason with Mr. Kosman right now. Do you think that's the way it's gonna be? The electorate, the voters? No, it's not gonna be that way. Why? Because we are animals. That's what we are. We pretend to be civilized. Because if we're not, the police will hit us in the head. Some. It depends on the circumstance, of course. We are the civilized. Please, go and try. Talk to them and see how they're going to treat you. Okay, yeah, listen what Mr. Kosman has to say right now, okay? Right here, okay. Yeah, actually, yeah. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I think it was in 2014, the Minsk agreements. No, they're not going to say. They're going to call you names, they're going to hit you, and they're going to do that. There you have civilized people. And not only that, I'm talking about all of us. I include all of us, not only those. But at least we try, to escape our animalic condition. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.